Hello and good evening. I'm Steve Eager. First on Fox 4 News at 5:30 tonight. 3 high-profile threats to North Texas schools getting a lot of attention over the past couple of weeks. Arrests made in 2 of these incidents. In the third, the student was allowed to return to class, setting off angry parent protests. Fox 4's Natalie Solis is at the Dallas ISD headquarters with more on how police are tracking students online now and why some cases have very different outcomes. Natalie.
Yeah, well, Steve, it almost feels like there has been a rash of school threats. But what they've all shown is that educators, parents, even students and law enforcement, everyone has to be extra vigilant. And once those threats are identified, they then open up a host of ethical and legal questions for school districts and law enforcement.
Last Wednesday at Princeton High School, metal detectors standing between students and their education.
This was serious.
The result of a school shooting threat posted by a teenager on a new app called Burn Book. Monday in Dallas, a Molina High School student arrested for threatening on Instagram to shoot up graduation. Also Monday, protests at Tidwell Middle School in Northwest ISD. Parents angry that a student was allowed to return to school after posting a fictitious book online detailing the murders of classmates. The ISD determined the book did not violate its code of conduct and was not written while the student was enrolled in the district. It handed the case to the Tarrant County DA to determine if it's free speech or a criminal act.
He wanted to evoke fear, and he was able to do that with his words.
Attorney Sean Brown says it boils down to 2 main considerations:
the intent, the threat, and the safety to all the students in the environment, balanced against the right of every child to have a public education, including the child who wrote the story.
Brown sees a key difference in the 2 cases where arrests were made and the Tidwell case.
The Molina case and the Princeton case seem to be direct, targeted acts of this is what I am absolutely going to do, and not I'm creating or fabricating a story about what might happen and what it might look like.
We've gone from a time where MySpace transcended to Facebook.
Chief Craig Miller with the Dallas ISD Police says his officers use programs to track buzzwords like explosives and shooting. But they can't track every app and website. The students themselves, their best defense. In all 3 cases, students were the whistleblowers.
I think what I'm seeing happening is that kids are getting past the point of realizing maybe I don't want to be perceived as a snitch to now being I don't want to die.
Well, the attorney we spoke to also points out that often we aren't getting the full story from a school district. And the reason is privacy laws. Those laws prevent a school district from disclosing everything that they've learned about a particular student or the circumstances of a situation. But certainly that information will factor in to a district's decision. Steve?
Okay, so Natalie, 2 of the cases, arrests were made, and that solves it. But at Tidwell, where the protests were, the student was allowed to go back to class, and that's a school and district decision. But are parents allowed to do something with their own children? If parents aren't comfortable with that, how are they allowed to react?
Right. Well, the attorney we talked to says that if a parent feels like their student, there is a threat to that particular student, then one option they may have would be to go to a judge and tell the judge and try to make an argument for some kind of protective order. We heard from several parents over at Tidwell who said, you know, their child was named in the book by that Tidwell student, and they felt that they were still afraid to let their child go to school. So that parent could try to make that argument for in front of a judge for a protective order. But only then would the district have to try to enforce that protective order and keep those students separated. Steve?
Okay. All right, makes sense. Natalie Solis, thanks.